Short answer, no. Is that all you need to know when it comes to that question? No, don't worry. I gotcha for all of the apps, Grubhub, Uber Eats, and DoorDash, including one kind of looming question you might not even have thought about. Let's start with Grubhub. Take a look at this. So these are things that actually can penalize you as a delivery driver for Grubhub, leading to your account being terminated. Marking restaurants closed when they're not, failing to deliver. I mean, come on, you're not going to do that, right? Masking, falsifying location, overcharging orders. I mean, come on, you're not going to do that, right? The only thing I want to warn you about here is the unassigning orders. So just don't accept and then cancel. Completely different than getting an order request and you just don't want it and you click decline, right? Or reject or the X or ignore it. That's different. Just don't accept and then cancel a bunch. Okay, but we're really trying to answer the acceptance rating thing. Am I going to get penalized for a low acceptance rate or just declining orders? So let's see what Grubhub says here. Now, if you ignore it for 90 seconds, and that's actually good to know because that's really the longest of these three apps. So 90 seconds for an order request on Grubhub, even though they don't show you a countdown timer, it's kind of weird. It kind of has to be mental. And then 45 seconds for DoorDash and 15 to 30 seconds for Uber Eats. But they say rejections affect your acceptance rate, which is part of determining your program level. But don't worry about that unless you're specifically going for this driver recognition program platform level thing. It's going to get you access to earlier block pickups and access to larger catering orders. Now, those can be good. I've never really seen catering orders on DoorDash, but they're out there. And then again, if you have a high enough acceptance rate and other metrics, you could get that and more on these program levels. But I don't really think it merits the acceptance rate that they ask. Let's move on to Uber Eats. So there are quite a few things that will hurt your accounts on Uber Eats. Here's just a few. So ratings quality, just make sure you don't have a really low driver rating. And in my honest opinion, there is no reason on rideshare, anything. I mean, grocery, parcel, food delivery, any of these gigs, you should not have like a 4.2, 4.1 out of 5. If so, you are doing something wrong. I'll tell you that. And if you're driving food delivery, if you're a little worried about the best practices, take our course. It's called Mastering Delivery. It is backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't get value, but I'm betting you will. It's a stellar course. Learn the best practices for any food delivery app. So there's that on Uber Eats, and then there's this, delivery-related reasons for loss of account access. So cancellation abuse. Okay, we talked about that. Just don't cancel a lot. Food theft. I mean, we're not doing that, right? It stands to reason someone's going to get deactivated if you're doing that. Why would you do that? And then time on trip fraud. If you're like saying, hey, I accepted it, and you're like here, you're like in your apartment or your home, you're like finishing like lunch, eating this, you're taking forever to actually move. Like, no, you're frauding the system because understood, if you accept, you're going to go to that restaurant. And then same thing if you've picked it up, if you're not going directly to that customer's location. This is why I warn you, listen to this, please drop a like on this video, consider subscribing. Don't multi-app insofar as taking orders from different apps at the same time, because all of these apps expect this of you. So go from point A, point B, not point A, finishing an order on another app, then point B. If you do that too much, again, you can be deactivated. But look here, specifically from Uber Eats on that cancellation abuse part, they say, quote, a delivery person has the right to decline a delivery opportunity offered to them. So on really all of these side hustle apps here, you're a 1099 independent contractor, and being so, you're allowed to decline these orders, offers, rides, whatever, as much as you want. Okay, but the question was for the number one food delivery side hustle, the number one food app by sales when it comes to market share here, DoorDash. Let's see what they have to say. So here's the minimums. At the time of filming this video, as a Dasher, you need to have, again, 4.2 when it comes to rating. You should have no problem with that. You should be 4.7, 8, 9 as a Dasher. Completion rate. So the orders that you do accept, I think this is pretty lenient. You just need to complete 80% of them. So like 20%, you could technically cancel. I wouldn't do that. Reserve like what, 1 to 3% of the times for exceptionally long waits. Well, maybe 3 to 5%. It's going to depend on your marketplace. Anyway, reserve your cancellations for that. Emergencies, flat tires, accidents, hope not, be safe on the road. And again, really the long waits. That's the only, several reasons why you'd want to cancel, I should say. But that acceptance rate, there's no minimum. Again, there's no minimum. You're going to see metrics in your Dasher app that say like, hey, it's very low. It's at 15%, 10%, 5%. What is your acceptance rate, by the way? Comment down below. But 30%, 20, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can't be deactivated or penalized. And they do have that on time or early rate. That is similar to what we just talked about in Uber Eats. So again, the apps, folks, are expecting you to go from point A to point B in a reasonable amount of time. Now, if you have to stop for gas, that is fine. In my experience, like here or there, stop for gas, takes you 5 minutes, whatever it is, and that's not going to hurt you. So it's not that tight. And DoorDash says here, quote, Dashers can always decline a delivery opportunity. So pretty much the same thing that Uber Eats is saying. And if you look at the terms of service for like all of these apps, they're going to say the same thing. And I'll just say it because we're talking about DoorDash. The only reason why you wouldn't want to decline a certain amount is if you're going for one of these active incentive programs. It's Top Dasher that has a threshold for acceptance rate to get the benefits. It is accept more, earn more, which I guess now is called priority access. That's been extended from 2022. All of these actually are extended indefinitely. And then earn by time or time earnings mode. It's DoorDash, folks. They call these things so many different things, but these ones have an acceptance rate threshold. So unless you're going for that, just some food for thought there. And now it is time to address that looming question that you might have or you might not have even thought about. And that is, okay, Mike, look, I get it. I can't accept and then cancel too much. I can accept as freely as I want and decline or ignore, same thing, as freely as I want. But that's not really my question. Maybe it is, but there's another question that, well, if I decline repeatedly, will these apps penalize me insofar as, let's think together. So worse orders, lower paying orders, farther away orders, orders from customers that aren't tipping, orders from, bad areas in your marketplace, orders from restaurants that are just like only fast food runs, restaurants that drop the ball, they're always delayed, they're missing items, stuff like that. Will these apps penalize me in any other way if I decline once and or repeatedly? And listen, being honest with you, having done this stuff for years, since 2015, thousands of trips in different marketplaces, no. There's nothing in the terms of service. There is nothing analytically, statistically, officially from any of these companies that say they will do any of that if you decline once or a lot. That is a 5%, 8%, 10%, whatever acceptance rate. Now, I know what you're saying. I'm going to address it right now. I know what you're saying. Like,
dude, I get it. That's great and all, but that's not what actually happens.
Listen, I'm just giving you my honest take. I'm giving you my honest take after talking to drivers, doing this research stuff. What I think you might be seeing, if you're seeing, supposedly penalized orders after declining a lot, is I just think it might be a slow day for you. It might be a slow day, and you may think it's a busy day based on your prior drive and what have you. Like, well, Fridays are always busy. Sometimes, yeah, they're usually busy, but sometimes they're not for whatever reason. Or maybe there's good peak pay and bonuses and more Dashers are getting out there, drivers on any of these apps, right? And it feels like you're getting penalized. But I would think, and again, I'm not, endorsed with any of these companies. I'm just a gig worker like you. So no affiliation with these companies, by the way. That's, again, it feels like it, but I feel like the companies will get in very, very hot water if they're doing stuff like that with their independent contractors because they're not workers. So they have limited control of what they can do with their independent contractors. So trust me, I know what it feels like. You're like declining, give me something better, and they're not giving you something better. Best practices, multi-app, drive on all the apps within the niche. And then if that niche is slow, food delivery, multi-niche, look at other stuff. And then even at large, look at other things that you can actually control from top down when it comes to business opportunities. Drop a like on this video if you got value. You can also click or tap the screen here for my newest video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.